Hello again and welcome to Pearl Magazine. During COVID, anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues went up globally. And at the same time, so did dog adoption. This trend was reflected in Hong Kong as well. Research shows that dog-assisted therapy is effective and that participants in studies report less depression, loneliness, and greater happiness with dogs. With a greater number of dog owners in the Hong Kong population, the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or SPCA, is pushing for dog inclusivity in the workplace. What's the adoption rate like?
So at the moment, our adoption rate is around 100 animals a month. So more cats and other animals like guinea pigs, rabbits, etc. The dog adoption rate has slowed slightly though.
Oh no, okay. What was it like before?
So before, historically, we would be adopting maybe around 200 animals a month, and a significant increase in the dog adoption rate as well.
Dr. Fiona Woodhouse, Deputy Director of the SPCA, says there is a preference in Hong Kong, not so much for particular dog breeds, but rather smaller-sized dogs.
Hong Kong, again, the selection tends to be for smaller types of dogs because they're easier to manage, especially with some of the restrictions, getting around Hong Kong, walking on the streets, moving around in taxis and things like that. The key things they're interested in is the personality. They're not interested in breed, but its size is the key driver. So, a large dog, regardless of whether it's pedigree or mongrel, is going to be difficult to place generally.
In the holding area, it's obvious that it's all the larger-sized dogs waiting to be adopted. Fiona says Hong Kong has come a long way from the early 2000s, when there were only 8 dog-friendly parks, but she's still advocating for more dog inclusivity.
From 8 parks back in about 2004, 2005, we've got 50-plus pet parks that allow dogs to go off leash, and then another 170 parks that are pet inclusive. And then you've got the private sector as well. So we've had a big inroad, but it still is very, very difficult when you're comparing to overseas examples like London, Paris, Taiwan even, New York. So housing is an issue, transport is an issue. If you look at transport for London, for instance, you can access any form of public transport. It's the underground, the buses, the cable car, the boats, the ferries, etc. So we would like to see a similar approach that enables people to get around, that it's not so restrictive.
She adds that while adoption rates went up during COVID, so have abandonment rates. And it's not necessarily because people don't want to care for their pets anymore, but rather property development is forcing some to give up their pets.
Sometimes Hong Kong's development or planning actually puts pressure on people. And so, for instance, you may have people who like to keep a lot of animals, bigger dogs, etc., and may choose to live in more rural areas, in more village-type settlements. And these are the areas that are being looked at for redevelopment. And when we have the redevelopment, that can actually trigger people to be forced to move out, and then they have issues maybe accessing pet-friendly housing. And where there is replacement housing offered, that quite often isn't dog-friendly.
She says that while the SPCA has been pushing for more inclusiveness to dogs, they've also been providing tutorials to companies that are open to having pets in the workplace, whether it's on a one-off basis or more regularly.
What we're finding now is that there is a changing dynamic again with having changes to work from home and integrated flexible working. There's more and more interest in doing things like being able to bring your dog into the office. Some companies have come to us when we're talking about public open space. So some companies may come in and say, look, I want to sort of look at integrating this into the office. We've got this space, how can we adapt it, or what should we consider to make sure the environment's safe and everybody has a positive experience.
Kingston Kwan, founder of this recruitment company, has had a pet-friendly policy since he began his company 5 years ago. His Shiba Aka comes to the office with him regularly.
We don't actually have a specific pet day. we're just a pet-friendly environment. So majority of our colleagues are in the sales team, right? And in a sales floor, you tend to have a very stressed, and fast-paced environment. Having pets or dogs or cats sometimes in the office do help our colleagues to ease the stress, and just spend 10 minutes to play with the dog, go back and be on the phone. I think in general, help people to de-stress and to put smile on people's face. Especially in Hong Kong, right? Not having a pet doesn't mean they doesn't like pets. It means that they probably don't have the condition and or environment, the right environment to have a pet. But in general, I think people love dogs. Maybe it's a subjective comment, but I do believe that. So you would see people smile a little bit more, in the office when she's around.
Psychologist Kaylee Chen says there is numerous research that shows dogs contribute to a better, more cohesive work environment, pointing out that some of the largest companies, such as Google, Amazon, and Apple, all have dog-friendly policies.
But when it comes to the research, overall, having pets has an overall sense of reduction in depression levels, anxiety levels, cortisol levels, which is associated to stress. Anxiety levels go down, everything kind of stabilizes, and in a good way. Instead of having more of that silo type of environment where we've got people from Department A not speaking to Department B, we're finally able to communicate just because there's actually sort of like a mediator, if you will, when it comes to the dog, because the dog plays sort of a very neutral role, right? And in the office, and they're just having fun, whether they are roaming around, whether they are just next to the owner in the cubicles.
Dog owner Esther agrees. She brings her puppy Lucky to work with her regularly.
She's an excellent tool for fostering a good interpersonal relationships in the office. Whenever I need to go to another meeting, so I need to go to the toilet, bathroom, or going out to buy lunch, I will have other colleagues to take care of she. Yeah, so my colleagues is also very supportive on this.
And of course, having a pet-friendly policy can make a company more attractive to potential employees.
I mean, I can imagine somebody who has their pet, and especially millennials, we do see this trend that millennials are actually adopting more pets than they are children. I would definitely say that the retention level would then be a perk, because then you would have individuals who would be like, well, actually, this company really sees my dog as a family member and therefore treat me as a family member. Therefore, it becomes a little bit more easier to make that decision, because it's like, well, yeah, sure, I have this perk. Why would I want to leave it? I can bring my dog to work. I don't have to keep my dog in doggy daycare. I don't have to keep my dog sequestered at home. It's a win-win for all.
Dorothy couldn't agree more. She joined Kingson's company about 6 months ago, and the pet-friendly policy was important to her and her 7-year-old dog, Mew Mew.
I know our boss, Kingston, has a dog, so I know he loves dogs as well. So it's quite one of the attract points to make me join this company. It's really helpful and critically beneficial, since before this policy, when I had to go to work, I usually ask my mom or ask my parents to come and help. But there were times that they were not available, and I had to ask my friends to come and help. But sometimes they may not be free, so it is quite it's hard to arrange the time. It's quite time consuming, and keep changing her environment actually is not ideal for her well-being as well. So with this policy on now, I can always bring her with me, so she can stay beside me throughout the day, and my colleague will enjoy interacting with her.
While some may think having dogs in the office may be a distraction, a study by Washington State University showed when people interacted with dogs, their ability to think, plan, and concentrate was enhanced. A live-career study showed that 76% of people reported that having pets in the workplace was a positive experience. People appreciated the increased socialization with coworkers, a relaxed environment, and reduction of stress.
since most of my colleagues at this company, they love dogs, and actually I think it can create a more relaxed environment. Usually when we feel stressful, we will like grab a coffee or snacks, but with the dogs in, usually what we can do is to take a break and play with her, so it can help to promote a more cheerful working environment. And at the same time, I can interact with my colleague more, to introduce the dog to them and make sure when they ask about my dog, then I can start chatting with them.
And it's not just pets in the workplace. Fiona says she'd like to see more businesses with space for people with pets as they go about their daily lives.
Ideally, we'd like to see more businesses being a little bit pet friendly in terms of, if you want to do something that's a utility, you're out walking your dog, you want to pop in the bank or pop into the post office, it'd be nice to be able to go in and do those basic functions that you need to do.
Whether we'll see pets riding the MTR or the bus is yet to be seen. But for now, pet lovers continue to advocate for more inclusivity of the rising population of their fur babies. Up next, how flies, yes, flies, may be one of the answers to solving our waste problems. Stay with us. Welcome back to Pearl Magazine. Insects are often seen as a blight to agriculture, and in general, when we encounter them in our homes and daily lives. But in recent years, there is a global trend of breeding black soldier flies. They're known primarily as food waste scavengers. Hong Kong generates thousands of tons of food waste every day. Reporter Alice Kahn visited a local black soldier fly farm to see how these insects convert food waste into more valuable products such as body lotion. Every day, twice a day, Chan Ka-ming and his colleagues collect food waste around the city and bring it back to this factory in Sheng Shui. Most of the waste is sourced from soya factories and bakeries.
We collect around 1 ton a day. So this is the bread that we collect this morning. So here is it.
It's still very fresh.
Yeah, actually, they have to maintain their quality. So around 1 day later, they will not sell it to the customer. So will be the food waste that we have.
Ka-ming uses black soldier flies to process his waste.
Well, you see lots of wrapping.
Yes, this is what the larvae cannot consume. So we had to take it out from the waste.
After removing the inorganic waste, Ka-ming puts the bread and soya waste into a machine that turns it into a paste for the larvae to consume. Ka-ming used to be a banker. He also worked as a volunteer in a local organic farm, educating visitors on how black soldier fly larvae handle food waste efficiently.
Every single day, there will be 3,400 tons of food waste generated. It is equivalent to 250 double-deck bus, you can see. Black soldier fly larvae will consume any kind of organic matters. So no matter you got some seasoning,
In 2018, he was granted a recycling fund from the government. On top of this, he got some bank loans to set up the first commercial black soldier fly farm in Hong Kong. The total area of this farm is around 10,000 square feet. The indoor area is about 3,000 square feet. It houses 70 million larvae. The room is air-conditioned to ensure they are kept in good shape.
Air-conditioning room for the larvae to grow.
Today, we check out how the larvae process food waste. We put this fish into this tray of 10,000 larvae.
How long does it take to finish the fish?
It takes around 3 hours. Actually, they will eat 7/24.
They seem to be very active. Will they consume the bone as well?
Yeah, actually, the larvae don't have teeth, so they cannot bite and they cannot eat the bones.
The larvae have a spongy mouth that sucks the food. It took 4 hours to consume the fish, leaving the fish bones behind. Cummings says the factory can handle 1 ton of food waste a day. He says the lifespan of a black soldier fly is around 40 days. Each female black soldier fly can lay 700 eggs at a time.
Give you a plain idea. So for 1 gram of black soldier fly eggs, it can eat up around 10 kilograms of food waste. You can see the baby larvae will grow to a bigger stage, like 2 to 3 centimeters long, and then that's the time that we will harvest it.
Cummings says it is not easy to handle all the food waste in Hong Kong because of limited resources and logistics issues. Stephen Wan lives in a village in Sai Kung. He started using black soldier fly larvae 3 years ago. He has a 10,000 square foot garden. Every day he collects rotten fruit. He also collects his daily waste. He produces 5 liters of food waste every day.
This is exactly what we have last night.
Unlike Cummings, Stephen doesn't have a facility to raise the flies.
Firstly, I need a container to hold it, right? You know, black soldier flies, they need food. I chuck it so that it creates some sort of smell. And they are very sensitive to smell. It attracts them to come over. So they come over and try to lay eggs around here. It takes 4 days for them to mature. So after maturity, and they turn into larvae, and they can smell the footstep. So they climb over and drop there and start the larval stage.
There are about 10,000 larvae in this container. When the larvae mature, they enter the pupal stage and stop moving.
It's quite smelly. Does it create some nuisance to your neighbor?
Well, my neighbor is a mile away, so it doesn't matter. If you're staying in high-rise, then it's a different story.
In the past, Stephen just threw his food waste into the soil, but now he thinks it's easier to decompose his food waste.
A natural decomposition may last maybe 12 months before it fully decomposes, but by arranging it in a container and rear the black soldier fly, probably takes 3 months to complete the cycle.
Apart from solving the food waste problem, it's possible to upcycle the byproducts of larvae, some of which can be valuable. Cummings extracts oil from the dried larvae. At first, he had no idea what to do with the oil until he met Isabella Lai. Isabella makes soap with coconut and olive oil. She decided to try using the larvae oil in her soap.
I searched for information on the advantage of the black soldier fly oil. I read Taiwan Scholars' articles. Then I realized some companies use black soldier fly oil as an ingredient to make skincare products. I made detergent with the oil. I found it cleans very well, and my hands are moisturized. They are not dry, so I know it is a good ingredient to make soap.
But she has to remove the impurities from the oil before manufacturing and eventually putting them on the market.
This is one made of the raw oil of the insect, but this one, the oil has been refined, so the color is lighter and the smell is less strong.
When you tell your customers that these soaps are made of black soldier fly oil, what is their reaction?
The reaction is mixed. Some are afraid of insects and say, it's gross, but some say, it's a good idea, great. Then they would buy the concept.
Now she plans to further upgrade the quality of the oil and to make body lotion and baby lotion. Currently, Cummings sells the larvae fecal matter to farms as fertilizer. He also sells the dried larvae as animal feed for dogs and cats. But he says the local market is still small.
In Hong Kong, development of agriculture side is quite diminishing every day. So maybe the chicken farm and fish farm are reluctant to pay the premium, especially the high protein insect at the moment. But instead, the pet owners are willing to be more environmental friendly and finding some sustainable protein like us. So that's why they are willing to get our larvae.
Kenneth owns this 600,000 square foot farm in Fanling. He grows organic fruit and also offers educational activities for visitors and school children. He started feeding dried larvae to the fish 6 months ago.
In the past of the days, we use normal organic feedings to feed our fish. After we knew that black soldier fly actually is good for the fishes, we start using black soldier fly to feed our fishes. The reason is, as I did some research, and we noticed that in black soldier fly it's got some nature antibiotics. We will help the fishes to prevent getting sick.
He also uses the larvae feces as fertilizer.
I choose to use black soldier fly feces as a fertilizer because by research it's rich in nitrogen, potassium and phosphate, and yeah, that's why we use it.
Kenneth says he is thinking of building a small-scale black soldier fly farm so he can locally produce the fertilizer as well as reduce the food waste from the farm. Currently, larvae farming is a multi-billion-dollar business in the US and Europe because there are reports showing the byproducts of larvae contain antibacterial properties, which is beneficial to animals. We took some larvae samples to experts of infectious diseases and public health at City University to analyze its components.
One is the protein extract. This is a protein meal powder, which is very rich in antimicrobial peptides as well as in chitin. So antimicrobial peptides can help to make a positive shift in the so-called gut microbiome to boost the number of the good bacteria communities in the digestive tract. Whereas the chitin is beneficial for boosting the natural defense mechanisms such as the immune function associated to the digestive tract.
He also tested the oil extracted from the larvae.
Oil that comes from the black soldier fly larvae is that it is very rich in lauric acid, a saturated medium chain fatty acid. So the fatty acid profile is different compared to other insect oils. That's the reason why this oil is so well suited for as an ingredient for animal feed. Beyond ingredient for animal feed, it can also be used in the chemical or the cosmetics industry.
Currently, there are only 3 black soldier fly farms in Hong Kong, but these startup companies are facing issues such as insufficient land to expand their business. Apart from this, there is no policy to mandate households and eateries to supply their food waste to these fly farms. This means most of the city's food waste ends up in landfills. That's our show for this week. Thanks for watching. Next week, we have the Shaw Prize Anniversary Special. See you then. Bye for now.